Hello everybody, welcome to DnD Tales 9. Just to let you know so there's no surprises, this is a narrated video. Please let me know what you think in the comments, and enjoy.
I played the long game, and surprised even the DM. I'm playing a warforged arcane archer who is essentially Fantasy Frankenstein's monster, but book-inspired rather than movies. His name is Allahan, and he's a lot of fun. I should note that my DM and players are aware of the fact that Allahan is not a traditional warforged. Rather than made of metal and living wood, he was created from various body parts. Needless to say, he's grisly to look at, which is why he is so thoroughly covered. However, no one in-game knows. I describe him as wearing full body leather coverings, think the organization 13 cloaks. Under the hood he has a wooden mask, meaning nothing of his skin is revealed at any point in time. He doesn't sleep, so attempts to peek under his cloak are never really successful. He stuffs his pockets and all inside the cloak with what amounts to potpourri, always adding nice smelling plants as he encounters. Every time he meets someone new, and I do mean every time, he makes a best guess at what their race is. He then says something along the lines of, "Hello, fellow human. I am human." It's especially funny when this 7-foot tall behemoth tells a dwarf, "I am also a dwarf." Always gets laughed from the party. When a woman was upset because her son was taken by cultists, he reached into his sleeve and pulled out a handful of dried flowers and put it in her hands. "This is a gift. Feel better." Before she can respond, he holds out his hand. "I need this back now." He's played a bit as a comic relief, who happens to be terrifyingly efficient at combat. He easily has the highest kill count in the party, which is understandable since he stands in the back with heavy crossbow raining death on cultists. It's magnificent. At one point we were asked to capture a high-ranking cultist, which we did thanks to some hilarity. In the evening we attend a celebration and feast, but Allahan isn't eating or drinking. He's simply watching, and I tell the DM that if he notices anyone looking at him, he locks eyes, not that his are visible, and stares the person down until they look away. At some point he piles his plate up with food and, with all the subtlety of an orc barbarian trying to sneak, throws the plate of food over his shoulder and comments that it's tasty. I'm told that the people of the keep are well and thoroughly afraid of him at this point. We later learn that there were unsuccessful attempts to get info from the priestess. A few more in-game days pass and I tell the DM that Allahan waits until the priestess is alone and goes into her cell. My DM, genius that she is, plays along with the whole scene perfectly. Allahan enters and stands stock still, quietly saying, "When next they come to speak to you, you are going to tell them everything." It's important to note that up until this point, Allahan's voice has always been friendly. Even when he was talking to enemies he was currently trying to kill. Not anymore. It had gotten deeper, more serious. Gone was the inflection of a carefree giant who liked flowers and weirding out peasants. The priestess responded, "Or what? What will you do?" It's at this point that Allahan approaches. He simultaneously removes his mask and hood, and the players are paying rapt attention. Allahan has never done this before. I describe how he has ashen skin with scar tissue lining areas where the tone doesn't match up quite right. Allahan, directly in her face, snarls, "Or I will eat you alive." Intimidate, at advantage. 19 on the roll, plus like 5 or something? I don't recall. She rolls a 2 against my check. She's terrified. Then she must also make a con save, which she fails, becoming sick and letting loose the scant contents of her stomach. Allahan stands back up and puts his hood and mask on, telling her, "Remember, tell them everything." As he leaves, he says, "That cannot die which lies eternal dreaming, and with strange eons even death may die." The weird motto from Lovecraft that I decided is his, mantra. He goes immediately to the dwarf in charge of the fort and tells him that the priestess will talk the next time they go to question her. "How did you manage that?" he asks, clearly suspicious. They'd threatened her, even tortured her. The dwarf knew their prisoner wasn't going to crack easily. Allahan simply replies, "I asked nicely." The next morning he accompanies the dwarf, along with our rogue, to speak with the prisoner. The moment Allahan walks into the room, she begins to weep. The dwarf looks at me. "What did you do?" Allahan simply stares at her, as she sobs his little poem. He says, "I asked nicely." And that was how I convinced everyone I was playing a comic relief character, when in fact I am playing a terrifying monster who has convinced a group of adventurers that he's harmless. I can't wait for the next session. PC death in a one-shot couldn't have gone better. I recently ran a one-shot with my online D&D group, The Death House from Curse of Strahd. Warning, there will be spoilers for the one-shot below. I thought it would be a fun and spooky one-shot to play in honor of October coming up. I gave my players the following criteria for their characters. They should be level 1, have be a class in either Xanathar's Guide to Everything or the Player's Handbook, and shouldn't be a beloved character, as there is a high chance they'll die. I wasn't sure how familiar the party was with Strahd and didn't want them to find out about the one-shot. When two of the players PM'd me asking if they could play a monstrous race or a class outside of the books, I agreed. It's a one-shot, right? What could go wrong? We started the session, scary orchestral music played in the voice chat, and I gave the setting description. It was time for the players to introduce their characters. Jesus Christ. The party was made up of Pestilence, an orc barbarian, Man, a human fisherman barbarian, Bill, literally just a farmer NPC, practically no class abilities at all, Jingles, a halfling monk who wore a full clown outfit, except for the dead look in his eyes, and Starflower Sakura Popular Blossom Apple Delhi, a human magical girl, sorcerer. It was a hilarious mess. The party eventually go into the house and began to explore. They chopped the heads off of stuffed wolves, freaked out over little kids, and stole armor off the armor stands, despite it giving them disadvantage to all their skill checks and attacks. Although it was meant to be scary, the one shot thus far had been fun. Though I think I managed to spook them a little bit with a few pointless intelligence checks, just to get the ball rolling. Now, in the conservatory, room 10, there is a harpsichord and a standing harp. The players heard an ominous piano melody playing from the room, but as soon as they entered it, it stopped. Creepy, right? Jingles decided to play the harpsichord. We joked that he plays an extremely happy song, and I immediately replaced the creepy orchestral background music with Entry of the Gladiators. You know, the classic clown song. Now, I'm not great with commands on Discord. I'm not very good with using the bots. Most of you guys probably know that when you play a song in Discord, it is put in the queue and will continue to repeat unless another song is added or it is removed from the queue. Entry of the Gladiators is now in queue after the hour-long orchestral recording. We forget about it. The party moved to the third floor and begins to investigate. They manage to kill the suit of animated armor on the landing, though some of them took a bit of a beating, and look around, eventually stumbling into the nursery. There they began to fight the specter of the nurse. It's a tough fight. The nursemaid doesn't have a lot of hit points, but it's resistant to almost all of their attacks. Starflower went unconscious, Bill managed to stabilize her, Man was on 2 HP, and Jingles and Pestilence were frantically trying to kill the maid. I rolled randomly for the specter to see who she hits. A 3. Starflower. She hits and automatically crits due to Starflower being unconscious, dealing 22 points of damage to Starflower. Instantly killed her. Level 1 characters are extremely squishy. The music fittingly ended, and it was silent in the voice chats for a moment. I narrated, "You guys watch as Starflower, this person that you have been traveling with for whatever reason, goes cold. The life in her eyes." The music started up again. Entry of the Gladiators starts playing. Voice chat erupts into chaos. This couldn't have been timed better, and it wasn't intentional. While the music played, Starflower's player had her recite one more speech about the power of friendship before Starflower passed out for good. "Yeah, our flourishing bonds won't be sullied by anything, or my name isn't Starflower Sakura Popular Blossom Apple Delhi and or Starflower Sakura Twig Branch Cherry Blossom Apple Delhi." The music still played as the party looted the body, painted Starflower's face to look like a clown, ripped up her papers and sprinkled them all over her body like confetti, dropped her body off the balcony, and lit it on fire. It was the best send-off for her ever. TLDR, we forgot to take circus music out of the music queue. It starts playing as a character dies, giving her the most fitting send-off ever. A new player's first death. So I'm fairly new to playing D&D. I grew up during the Satanic Panic in the Deep South, but magic kept me solidly in fantasy realms. Recently, through watching Critical Role honestly, I became interested in giving actually playing a try. Here is the story of my first death, on my 5th game ever, and how excellent it was. A bit of info, my DM started us on Out of the Abyss, but it quickly got kinda derailed when another player rolled a nat 20 and escaped the cell we were all locked in. From there we were on the run and being chased. The party consisted of a level 3 witch, a level 3 turtle shroom cleric, a level 3 meme druid, and me, a level 3 warlock in Pact of the Tome named Abhorsen, cause I'm a Garth Nix fan. Slightly homebrewed in backstory, but mostly straightforward because I was learning to build when I built him. In the game before this one, right at the end, we got cornered by a group chasing us. Something that happened because I'd forgotten to send out a flock of familiars to scout that morning. Something I'd started doing since I'd gotten the spell to keep us safe, and something the DM had noted. This session starts. We roll for initiative, and I roll stupid low. The priestess rolled second in the order, and she immediately downs me and our witch with a locust swarm. This bitch was level 10. We were level 3. I think he intended us to run, but since I'd tried some diplomacy and failed my pre-initiative persuade attempts, she attacked like any enemy would, and the character stats were already set. So on my first damn turn, I roll a nat 1 on my death saves, double loss, and then I take an auto loss to the swarm. I am dead. But my party continues to fight. We have 3 NPC party members that the witch's player and I were controlling in addition to our own characters, so I made sure the witch is pulled out of the swarm prior to her turn and is given a healing potion, while I sit back to wait. So eventually, through some great rolls by the witch, me using the fighter to kill 2 minions, and our druid using a web to stop the priestess from running, the turtle decided that they weren't with us and hid inside a building. We take the priestess down to literally 1 hit point. The witch's spell had made the priestess frightened of her, and with me dead, my friend uses an intimidation roll to make her cast the resurrection ritual on me, nat 20. We think, hey, my character might come back, but because of the homebrewed backstory my DM and I had worked out, I realized there's a problem. You see, instead of taking one of the traditional 9 devils, I decided, hey, Gargoth sounds cool, and he achieved divinity somehow? What if Gargoth had made a pact with me so I can prevent other devils from doing the same, and maybe research how he did it? Which means other gods and beings seeking divinity are going to really not want me back. And the ritual spell is for the spider goddess. Uh-oh. The ritual starts and the DM is asking for contributions to bring me back, much like Matt Mercer does in his rituals to lower the DC of resurrection. First, the sociopathic witch goes, you know, you should come back, cause, yeah. She rolls a persuade, a 3. Then goddamn turtle grave cleric who hid in a damn building while I got struck down with 1 blow goes, this is a sin against everything, and walks out. The druid says, I feed him 10 good berries, and rolls a nature, a 5. By this point, I'm just checking out my other rolled characters trying to decide which would fit in the setting, and we're all dying with laughter because after each negative roll the words, oh you're fucked, get uttered. DM rolls. He stops and begins to describe how the ritual is casting, how the diamonds set out in spiderweb around me are all glowing and moving like I'm breathing, but there's no movement. How slowly the movement of the diamonds along with their glow is fading, and how the ritual is seemingly done and how it appears to have failed when suddenly, I breathe. Everyone goes, yeah! The DM had rolled a 17 on a 15 DC. Then the DM turns to me and says, Abhorsen, you're in a dark room. And you turn to see Gargoth is there. He looks to you and says, the goddess didn't bring you back. I did. You have work. Fade to dark. And I wake up shouting. I instantly go, do I see the priestess that killed me? DM says yes. I instantly go, I hit her with Eldritch Blast. Roll. Nat 20. DM describes how I suddenly wake up and see the priestess, how in a shout of rage and actual hellfire coming off me, the energy of my blast pours from my full body into an actual ethereal image of my character that flies into the priestess and kills her. My DM turns to me and I, as a person, turn to the group and say, well that sucked. And that's where we're going to end tonight. Having written it down, I now realize how utterly insane that encounter was and how much fun I had despite spending most of the time dead. Hopefully there will be more comparable insanity in the future, but damn, what a wild first death.
Thanks everyone for watching. Please let me know what you think in the comments. Matthew narrated this one and his details are in the description. The plan for this weekend is to start another text-to-speech series tomorrow for Saturdays, then a medley of Discord submissions voiced by our community on Sunday. Also, if you like this video, please consider subscribing. Thanks again.